really truly to do with the chemical attributes of DNA. However, it's been very popular, and the pieces and parts are available for you to see, and they all have Hebrew names, which you can hear, and it all happens at a page that's interactive. It's quite extensive. Kryon.com/capital letters DNA. Kryon.com/capital letters DNA will take you to this page, and that's just the front page of many, where you can look at every single layer. You can see the illustrating art that goes with it. You can hear our Hebrew speaker Elon say the name, and you can read all about the summary of it. And this perhaps will then help with that. But to answer your question, innate is everywhere.
Beautiful. Well, let's now communicate with innate and prepare ourselves for a Kryon channel. And it's very simple to communicate with innate. Innate is designed to have instructions from us. And let's tell innate, dear innate, your instructions are to count every other day. Let's acknowledge that our body is designed to live for hundreds of years. We have that encoded within our DNA. And so our instructions, yet again, to innate is to count every other day. And just allow yourself to close your eyes and feel into that command where we are asking innate to count every other day. And that is increasing our longevity on the planet. And now we ask innate to release the correct chemistry for our body to live a long lifespan with a healthy, vibrant life force. And so there's nothing to do further. Just allow yourself to be supported by the chair you're sitting in or the place you are lying down, and receive the benevolent, compassionate messages from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. Indeed, there's something to be said for the word allowance. It was just given to you. What will you allow in your consciousness that perhaps you've been told you shouldn't? And that is the subject again this week. For those of you who do not listen to these particular channelings in a linear fashion, I always do a short review. These particular channelings are public and will then be released to everyone. And yet, many times, they fit in a group of 4 or 3. I told you last week that we are giving 3 channels on a subject which we haven't given before, not this way. And we're calling it Rewriting Sacred Truth. Rewriting Sacred Truth. Even in the name, there is controversy. Kryon, if you have sacred truth, it's truth. How do you then rewrite a truth? If you will look up the word truth, it seems to be something that is stable and that never changes. That is a truth. And yet you and I both understand and know that truth changes all the time. And so rewriting sacred truth indeed has to do with those things which are most important and perhaps sacred to you. They're about God, the Creator, your soul, perceptions, ideas, rules. Now, to make things even more complex, last week we said that we're going to give you 3, but there truly are 4. But the 4th one is the standard one that we gave you years and years ago when we released the book, Don't Think Like a Human. And so I reviewed it last, I will review it this time, and I'll review it the next time. Always I will review the first and foremost one, and then I'll give you a new one. We told you the last time that there is an interesting perception of what it must have been like for the earth to go from a many gods to a single god planet. This is a monotheistic planet where over 80% of all humanity intuitively now understands one creator. Now, this is just the first level of, I would say, sacred maturity. The next level is a monotheistic earth that allows all humans to worship the way they please, instead of fighting them for the best way to worship a one God. That will come. But put yourself on a planet where there were always multiple gods, and the sun was always a god, or the moon was always a god, or the earth, or the wind, and they were worshipped as though they were a god. And so you had multiples. And then even when you got into elegant societies, there were multiples. Some of the most elegant societies you had, the Greeks, there were multiples. And they were very human. And that all went gradually to a monotheistic earth, one God, one creator, and you understand and start to see the love and the compassion. Tell me, what was truth? Was truth many gods, or was truth one? It was a sacred truth. Wars were fought over it. But it wasn't accurate, not really. The perception of human beings can change with awareness and a higher vibrating earth. And you go from old things and old attitudes and old ways of thinking, and it becomes clearer. The veil lifts a little bit, and it becomes clearer. And so the planet went to that stage slowly, where they went from many to one. It's interesting to look at what truth truly might be. Does it push the envelope in your perception and mind, in your questioning, to go to the next level and say, what else might there be that might clear, so that the truth of the one God becomes even more spectacular? Now that you know that there's one creator, there's an entire lineage of perceptions and grandness and attributes that we begin to teach about the one. So we begin that. Last week we gave you one. This week we give you another. Now, in some ways, we have given you this kind of information before. But now we put it into a package and say, it's time to rewrite what you thought. And this is tough. Not just tough, controversial to the max. Even to those enlightened ones who listen right now. I'm going to step on some of that which you were told. God is the same yesterday, today, forever. You'll hear this yet again. God does not change. The Creator does not change. The love of the universe does not change. What changes is you. As the veil lifts, awareness is sharpened. As you learn things you didn't know before, that has a tendency to rewrite what you thought you knew before. Do you understand? No more sensitive is this to those who perhaps are not sacred, not enlightened necessarily in spiritual things, but still have protocols which are almost like sacredness to them. Let's say you're a physicist and you learn all about the physics of the universe. Let's say you're a biologist or a doctor, a researcher. And what you see in front of you is what you've learned, and you've gone through schools to get there. You think you know what the chemistry is, you think you know how the body operates, and you've done it long enough so that every time you approach it, you get what you expect. And then suddenly, something comes along and requires that you rethink it all. Now, this has happened in science over and over. It's happening today in science. It's happening in physics. 150 years ago, you would say, well, that's a long time ago. Actually, that's the average lifespan of two human beings put together, 150 years. That's only 2 human lives. Average lifespan. 150 years ago, it was revealed finally through a series of perhaps 4 or 5 human beings about bacteria and germs. The germ theory set everyone on their ear. Imagine, let me use the words that they used, little creepy crawlers that you can't see were actually there and creating infections and disease if you didn't do certain things. You might say it started with Louis Pasteur and then went from there to be validated and experimented more. But germ theory, this did not sit well when it was first presented to anyone. It was laughable. Little creepy crawlers, little bacterium are going to be there. That's the problem. Interestingly enough, even before his work, those on the battlefield knew very well that if you wanted to keep infections from happening, you took a little boric acid, or better yet, some whiskey. Just pour it in the wound, and that'll work. And it did. A little painful, but it did. It kept away what they now were finding were the little creepy crawlers. What I'm telling you is that a whole generation of medicine, of training, of doctors had to take a deep breath and buy into something they never expected. They had to rewrite something sacred. How they learned it was not going to work anymore. What they did or what they thought they would do to keep infections from spreading is now seen as laughable and barbaric. Germ theory was the way of it. Get ready for one of those. I'm going to tell you right now, dear ones, that there is a lot of what has been taught to you as negative things that are sacred. You didn't expect this, and I'll tell you. What do you know about the energy of sacredness? Here's what you've been told. It's fragile. So you better clear the area before you go in there. It's fragile. So if you're a practitioner, you got to make sure that you do the clearing here and there. And be careful, because you might have a patient, and that patient, if they have some kind of a dysfunction, and you're going to work on them, and especially if it's mental or something, you're going to catch it, because there may be some evil in them that's going to go right to you. So be careful. In fact, even before they get there, you might clear here, you might clear there, you might do some things. You grew up with this. Then there are the others who say, well, you got to step carefully. Like being sacred is some kind of a field with landmines on it. Be careful you don't step over there, because there's a rule against doing this. Make sure that this is done before you do this, because, if you don't, you know what's going to happen. Do you really think that the creative energy on this planet is fragile? I want to tell you something. None of those things in this new energy are true. None of them. I will give you a visualization. I will give you something I want you to always remember. And here is the truth. In this new energy, light is winning. And that light starts with the light worker, and the light worker is listening to this program right now. Listen to me. Imagine that Merkaba or yours is a sacred bubble. See this bubble around you. Any bubble you want to. See it around you and paint it gold. If you have a black and white piece of paper, draw you as a stick figure. Draw a circle around it and make it yellow. It doesn't get any more clear than that. You have this around you. It is your sacred soul consciousness. And wherever you walk, you push darkness away. Kryon, wait a minute. Are you telling us there's no evil in the planet? Here's what I'm going to tell you. Get ready for controversy. There's no evil entities beyond the veil with red tails and horns who are out to get your soul. There is evil on this planet, and it is created through the consciousness of human beings who are taking it there on purpose collectively and creating the darkness. Yes, there's evil. It doesn't come from beyond the veil. It comes from here. But what you have comes from beyond the veil. It comes from that soul of yours that we visit in the Circle of 12. And I'll tell you, you push everywhere you walk, the darkness will run from you. Try it. If you're used to clearing, let your own Merkaba clear as you walk forward. In the last few years, my partner has been traveling. And everywhere he travels, whether it's here or whether it's in foreign lands, he stays in a hotel. He stayed in hotels which were older than your country, than the country here, the country of America. And he asks himself, what has happened in this room before he opens the door? And the answer is almost everything. He used to clear the rooms. He used to have others clear before he would go in, because these are the places he sleeps in before he goes and channels. And I told him to stop it. It rewrote his sacredness, and he gasped when he said, stop it? And I said, when you walk into the room, it will clear itself because you will push light into it. And anything inappropriate for you will leave that room because it cannot exist there with your light. Did you hear that? Dear ones, things cannot exist which are inappropriate in your field, in your body, with a high consciousness. Are you hearing this? Rewrite the sacred truth that says you're in trouble if you do this, or there are negative things over here, or be careful of this, because that's not true. What is true is that there is only light and love and beauty and benevolence and kindness, if you want it, in this bubble that you push of benevolence. Wherever you go, the darkness cannot exist. That's the message. And so it is.
And very gently, from this beautiful space with Kryon, bring your awareness back into your body. Bring your awareness back into the room. And take a deep breath through your nose. And just relax, a soft sigh. You may wish to loosen your body, open your eyes if you've had them closed. And we're going to move into the next section of our program now. And I know, Lee, this finding this gentleman is an absolute blessing for you.
This is very personal for me. We have stellar guests. I hope you've seen this, folks. This is for all of you members, that we carefully select our guests, and some of them do some things that you've never heard of, and some of them things that you have. But this is personal for me, and I'm going to tell you why in just a moment. This is Meir Schneider, and we're going to tell you a little bit about that.
And so, Meir, are you there?
I love being here. I'm here with all my heart and soul.
Oh boy,
That's so beautiful.
He's ready to go.
Let's tell everyone about Meir.
All right. This is going to be very short, except that I'm going to make a comment. Meir was born with congenital cataracts to deaf parents. After 5 unsuccessful surgeries, leaving him with massive scar tissue, he was declared legally blind. Stop and just turn the page for a moment. And I don't normally do this, but I still get chills when I think of this, because I had a similar experience, not anything near having been born this way, but I was at a time when I had 7 operations, vitrectomies on my eyes, torn retinas, cataracts 4 times. All of these things put me in a state of wondering if I would ever see again. And I am going to tell you what happened, what he did with him that has put him on this show and put him in the spotlight, because at 16 years of age, he discovered eye exercises that helped him develop vision from, ready, 1% to 70%. He now reads, writes, and even drives.
Now, the practices that he used and developed became the basis for the Meir Schneider method of self-healing, and it's combining breathing, massage, movement, body work, and visualization techniques. Meir founded the School for Self-Healing in San Francisco in 1980, and that's where he teaches and works with thousands of people from a wide range of degenerative conditions such as polio, muscular dystrophy, and multiple sclerosis, just to name a few.
Meir is a world-renowned therapist. He truly is a lecturer, author of several books, which have been translated into 16 languages. That's it. That's enough, because what I want to do is dedicate the rest of the program to him telling how in the world this happens. I'm really interested in those first days and what he was told and how this how he could do this at 16. And then from there on, we'll have questions for him. But Meir, welcome to the show.
It is so wonderful to be here, as I said, with heart and mind. I love you guys, and I love your audience.
Wonderful. Okay, I know you have a story, and it's probably a great one. I want you to just start at the beginning. And what was this like? Did you have to fight in order to do this? I'm sure there were those who told you it just couldn't be done or whatever. Just start at the beginning.
You know, I was born with cataracts. By the way, my 2 kids were born with cataracts. But their fate was very different. They were born into a different generation because what medicine knew in that time is that at the age of 8 weeks, the brain understands that you need to see. Until the age of 8 weeks, you develop other capacities. If you don't see at the age of 8 weeks, the brain erases the whole idea of sight. And even if your cataract surgeries were successful then, you wouldn't be able to see. Now, their cataract surgery were successful and they worked with me. Most kids who are born with cataracts see between 30 and 35% of normal vision. Everybody is happy. My kids see 100%. My son sees even 20/15, 110%. So that's the difference with them. They did eye exercise with me. But in my case, I was born into that generation where you're blind or legally blind if you're born with cataracts. And doctors were completely bewildered. They did 5 surgeries with me. And to show everybody, this is a normal lens. And this is mine. That's the result of the 5 surgery. 1% of light can go through. Everybody thought I'll be braille dependent to the rest of my life. I thought about this kind of career in my life. People thought that I'm bright. I don't know why, but they thought I'm bright and that I have good future. I believe them, but at a certain point, I had pain over the fact that my parents are deaf and I'm blind. And kids used to make me very motivated. First of all, I was isolated by other kids. I was in an inclusion class, and kids would play havoc on me and sometimes isolate me. So I ran into the Braille reading. I read a lot. I was the quickest Braille reader in the state of Israel in my generation. And already at sixth grade, when there were students in university, I read more than everybody. But then what also happened, I ran into trouble because I used to behave like other kids. So I rode a bicycle and fell into ditches. And also kids thought that they can play with me. So they hit me and I hit back. And I'm the one who have always got into trouble. So to give you that background of not accepting what I'm expected to do as a submissive blind kid is really why I got out of it. And I really believe that the change comes with pain. As long as you're comfortable with unacceptable situation and condition, you'll stay there. I've met people who were very comfortable with major paralysis. And I've got people that if they limp a little bit, they just don't want that. And they find a way out of it. And I'm not accusing the people who are submissive, but I think human will is something very funny. I mean, it comes with pain. If you don't have a sense of pain, you don't move forwards. So in my case, as soon as I was shown eye exercises in the Bates method, and I've learned the principles of relaxation, of looking at a distance, of expanding the periphery, of looking at details, of creating balance between the two eyes, I just went straight into it. And I worked 13 hours a day. And I had problems with my family who said that you are diluting yourself. All the best professors of the Middle East have operated you. You have no way of getting better. Why are you diluting yourself? And I had problem with my teachers. When I was sitting outside in Israel, it's kind of warm, biblical studies. I remember doing sunning where I would close my eyes and move my head from side to side. And the teacher said, hey, stop doing it. I had teachers who really were attacking me, but I was very happy that the vice principal in my school protected me with all the complaints that they had about me doing my eye exercises. And I did my eye exercises, and I improved my vision from 1% to 4% within 3 months. And then I kept improving. And by the way, I'm driving already for 39 years right now. Although people laughed at me and said, you know what the bumps on the roads are? They're Braille for blind drivers, right? So, and other people told me, tell me when you drive so I can pull my dear ones out of the road. But nevertheless, no accidents. Some parking tickets, but I'm trying to reduce those. No tickets, no accidents, nothing. And I am so proud of that. But I'm more than that proud of what other students of mine did. And I want to tell you a story about one of them. I had a wonderful 17-year-old who came to me, and the complaint was that with her left eye, she sees 2200, which is basically 20% of normal vision. Mm-hmm. And with the right eye, she only sees light. So me and my apprentices and her mom were sitting down there and we were talking, and all of a sudden she saw on the chart 2100, 40% of normal vision. The mom said, we went to all the specialists in Canada. How can that happen? I said, well, she's relaxed with me. That's the big deal. And so then I took her to a dark room. We patched her with 2 patches over her seeing left eye and with masking tape around. And I had light that blinks. So in the dark, if light blinks, that's what you see. Now, I expected her to see the light because that's what she said she sees. But what surprised me is that she saw the color in depth. What surprised me more is that within 5 minutes, she could see me. She could see the apprentices I had. She could see her mom. She could even roll a ball back and forth. And her mom was surprised. And then we brought her dad to the session. She was even more surprised. And the idea that her mom, her dad had, she had, and all the doctors that saw her in Canada, the big specialist, is that she's blind in her right eye. And it was not true. She was lazy in the right eye, which means the brain didn't use it. We improved her vision in the right eye to 5%, 2400. We got her to walk up and down the street with those patches, which looked funny, but she was able to read big signs. And the vision in the left eye improved to 20/60 because it was relieved from the fact that the right eye worked. Going a bit backwards, even at the age of 18, I understood that physical therapy made a big mistake with polio patients. They taught them to work with the strong areas, because often when people had polio, one area was paralyzed and one area worked. So you understand their logic, because they wanted them to cut vegetables, they wanted them to drive. But I understood it's a big mistake. I worked on the weak area. Sometimes somebody couldn't bend the arm, but if I would bend it, they could move it back and forth, and nobody tried that. Imagery work, all kinds of things. Sometimes I would only improve them by 3%, sometimes by 65%. But here's what happened. Fast forward 10 years, many polio patients got post-polio syndrome. A further attack of the virus, which is inside the nervous system, heart attacks, breathing problems. And my people got the post-polio 40 years later. So what's the difference? Working on what's weak, not working on what's strong, working on what's weak, and integrating. We have 600 muscles in the body. Most people use 50 out of them. Can you imagine? Between 50 and 70. We don't have any capacity to understand what we're missing. We're making our joints rigid. We don't isolate enough muscle groups. We're very bound to very few movements that we do. Most people, I'm almost 67. I can do this. Can anyone at home do this? This, and the reason is...
Don't ask us to try.
Double jointed. Yeah, try to do it. Put your hands here.
Not going to do it. Not going to do it.
We'll do it later.
Yeah, later. We'll do it later.
The point is, well, I can teach you how to get to that. But
Good.
Anyway, the point that I'm saying is we have capacities we know nothing about. It starts with learning the depth and the capacity of relaxation. Never, ever, ever work with strain. Even when you run, learn to relax when you run. Learn to move every single joint in a balanced way, in harmony. You can be in the wheelchair. I got 300 people out of the wheelchair. But you have to learn to use the body to the best ability that you have. And it is very important for us to understand that the more we work on kinesthetic awareness and feeling deeply what happens inside us, the better we're off. So we're not allowing ourselves to function in the optimal way that we could because we never studied it. Two people hurt themselves. One is the couch potato who does nothing, and one is, and they're both lazy. The couch potato is lazy, we understand. But the athlete is lazy as well. Those who overwork their body actually are lazy to learn what it does to their body, because often it destroys the body. We need to learn to work in a measured, balanced way, sense what we need to do, divide muscle groups, integrate between them, learn to use the ones we never used, learn to relax the ones we always use, and learn neurologically to integrate between all of them. And we have to learn to use all the parts of our senses, hearing and seeing, and to learn the parts we never used. For example, these days, more and more people have nearsightedness. Why? They look at computer, at smartphones. They forget there is periphery. In the jungle, we wouldn't survive without periphery. We'd be killed. We'd be eaten. We had good periphery then, but today we don't. People wear sunglasses and they prevent themselves from seeing the strong daylight which they can absorb. I understand head with a visor, but sunglasses prevent us from being part of nature. We basically decide to conquer nature, forget ourselves, and the result is massive degeneration of all the functions that happen in our body. And that is my big message. We can undo it if we decide to do the work of kinesthetic awareness, not to work too hard, not to work too easy, but to feel ourselves as well as we can.
Before we go any further, I know you've got a school. I know you've got a book. Talk about that.
Well, I have several books. I have a school for self-healing, and I'm trying to find more people who will study with me to help overcome so many problems. I have my book, Vision for Life. Today, it's the most popular book, translated to quite a few languages. And I have my book, Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing. And that has 600 exercises. And it's like a dictionary. You learn about your breathing. You learn about your movement. You also learn how to work on your body for your specific needs. So if you have muscular dystrophy, I have a sub-chapter for you. If you have asthma, I have a sub-chapter for you. But everybody has to go through breathing, movement of the joints, movement of the spine, and the nervous system. In my school, I teach people to see better, to move better. And with the School for Self-Healing, we have the Center for Self-Healing, where people come for 8 days classes. But I also don't have enough practitioners in the world. I have some, mainly in Brazil, actually, but I have some all over the world. And I want to see many more of us, because we need to revolutionize ophthalmology. We need to revolutionize optometry. We need to revolutionize physiotherapy. And I want to say that 90% of eye problems would be prevented if kids in school learned eye exercises.
So when you get past your 40s, you have the presbyopia, you have the little glasses you buy in the drugstore. Almost everybody in my culture is aware of that and is getting the glasses and all. Would these exercises postpone that, or perhaps even not have to have
These
those?
exercises would get you to wear those glasses when you're 80. So basically, we learn to do two things. We learn, first of all, to strengthen our lens, because the lens becomes stiff. You know, more and more people understand that when you are 50, if you don't do stretches, eventually you get arthritis from oversitting on chairs, from not moving much. But for some reason, we don't understand that the same thing can happen to the eyes. I mean, if you don't learn, first of all, to look a lot at the distance, we don't look enough at the distance. We used to be farmers, and we used to be hunters. So in our 40s, the eyes are tired and stiff. And what do you need to do? There's some wonderful exercises. And let me explain to you why you're stiff. Everybody at home, look out of the window for a moment, and then look at your hand right from here. And you can see how much you strain when you look here versus looking out of the window. Those muscles strain from reading a lot because you're looking from near. So you have to learn to strengthen them and to loosen them up. And you can do it. It's daily work when you're about starting to be presbyopic. And afterward, it's a weekly work, like once a week you return to these exercises, and you can prevent presbyopia. And that's one of the things that we have in our videos and in our book. That's why my book, Vision for Life, is sold in so many countries and so many languages.
Is the Vision for Life book the thick one with all the exercises?
No, the thick one is Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing, because it's working on everything.
Okay.
Vision for Life is on vision.
All right. Well, obviously, we have to have both. maybe all of them.
I know you have so much more information to share with us, but I would love to just, if we could do a quick exercise right now. And you can show people
everybody
how.
who's at home,
Yep.
interlace your fingers and move your arms in rotating motion in both directions. All the way. Yeah? I think if I could stand for a minute, just to show. It doesn't work this way. Okay, good. Sorry. So we move all the way in rotating motion in both directions. Now, rub your hands. And I have a palming stick because I can adjust this rod, but you can put pillows on the table. But what you shouldn't do is bend your head or bring the head backwards. So you put your hands, and this is why I wish I could touch every one of the audience, and of course both of you, and show you how gently you should put the hands around the eye orbits. After you rub them and after you loosen up the shoulders, and there are definitely more exercises for that, but just a little bit of loosening make a big difference. You let the shoulders drop and you breathe deeply and slowly, and your inhalation is slow, but your exhalation is even slower. And while you feel that the abdomen expands when you inhale and shrinks when you exhale, and the ribs expand when you inhale and shrink when you exhale, and the chest does the same thing, you also visualize that the head expands when you breathe in and shrinks when you breathe out. And you visualize that the hips do the same thing. And if you continue the visualization, the knees, the thighs, and the calves, and the ankles, and the feet, they all expand when you breathe in and shrink when you breathe out. And so do the elbows, and the wrist, and the fingers, and the arms. So all the body, from the front of the chest to the middle back, from the abdomen to the lower back, from the front of the throat to the back of the head, from the face to the upper head, all of it expands when you breathe in. All of it shrinks when you breathe out. And you do it slowly. And you know, every star in this universe expands and shrinks. Everything in life expands and shrinks. Every cell has its moment of movement and lack of it. And so what we're doing is we're trying to tune to the universe while closing our eyes, while making our eyes feel relaxed, while making our hands relax the areas of the eyes. We breathe deeply in and out. And there is nothing more powerful than your breath. Now, this is something one should do about half an hour a day, 6 minutes to 10 minutes each time. And you don't let the eyes tire throughout the day. One good image is seeing darkness. Black holes is most that exist in the universe. The light is what's from within. And so you visualize the optic nerve is really relaxed now because you're palming. And we can take the hands off and we can do thumbing of the ears. This time I'll make it shorter for this program, but thumbing of the ears is also a good thing to do. You can put your thumbs deeply in your ears. This time we'll breathe 3 times. Normally we should breathe 30 or 40 times, and we could do it once a day. And stop the noise outside and listen to the breath inside. So you listen to the breath, it sounds like ocean waves or like wind. So you put your thumbs in the ears and you breathe deeply and slowly. And when you take the thumb off, you can take an account of how well you hear. And you probably hear very well right now for a moment after closing the external noise and hearing the internal breath. So the important thing for us is to meditate our body with every movement, with every rest. For example, when people sit on the chair, they should feel relaxed, like the chair carries their weight. They sit on the chair holds them, and they're really relaxed, allowing the chair to simply hold them.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for taking us through that exercise. I have a question because I know others will be wanting to know. Can people use things to cover their eyes, or is it important that we use the palms?
There is nothing like your hands.
Okay.
You have to prepare them. You have to move the arms in rotating motion, and then the reverse of it, move it like this, but all the way. I can't show it
Yes.
on this screen, but you can imagine the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
You can work between your fingers. You can massage your fingers, but there's electricity and energy that comes from your hands into your eyes. I cannot tell you how powerful it is, because I work with people, for example, with muscular dystrophy, and I really know how to touch them because of all my Braille reading. And you feel very thin muscle, but when you massage it really, really nicely, all of a sudden it becomes thicker, which is so beautiful to see in a muscle that became so atrophied. And it is because of the touch. So, it depends in your hands, but the more you relax your hands, you can really relax your eyes. Now, of course, you should never palm when you're upset, because upset hands don't help the eyes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can put something around your eyes. If there's a Velcro, you don't want to do it very hard. I personally sometimes put just a nice cloth over my eyes when I go to sleep. Then when I toss and turn, it falls. And I have the impression of darkness. But there is nothing like being touched by your own hands and letting your eyes relax. And that is so important, that you spend a half an hour a day of taking care of your eyes with your hands. And you would, and of course in intervals, like 6 minutes to 10 minutes each time, you would find yourself being less fatigued, but you'll find that your eyes are being nurtured. And in your case, Lee, if you work this way, you nurture your retina. You get more blood flowing to it. You get much more oxygen in it. And you give it much longer life. So the hands can do miracles. Not only mine on someone else, but yours on you.
It's the best, isn't it?
Beautiful.
What I also like there is what we teach is that your body is not stupid. There's an innate that knows what you're trying to do. So not only are you helping yourself physically and all these things but the body knows what you're trying to do. And that is, I would say, the second layer of healing.
Yes.
This is what we've always taught. The body's not in the dark. It's what you're doing. Now, we're almost out of time. You have a website. I think you've got a special promotion that if you do, and I believe we do, we're going to be seeing that in the chat area, and also for the replays. That
There'll be a link in the replay.
Yeah, there will be. But what is your website?
My website is www.self-healing.org. You'll see the waves because we're by the ocean. We got a permit by the Board of Supervisors of San Francisco to have a residential by the beach, which is very unusual in San Francisco to get any permit. But we got that. And the reason is,
I'm willing to be open to the energy of compassion in my life. I release all expectations, and I am willing to be open to the energy of compassion in my life. I release all expectations, and I am willing to be open to the energy of compassion in my life. I accept the perfect love of the Creator. I accept the perfect love of the Creator. I accept the perfect love of the Creator. I give permission to experience the grandness of my soul. I give permission to experience the grandness of my soul. I give permission to experience the grandness of my soul. I am ready.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon. Come a little closer. Once again, it is time for what we have described to you, the Circle of 12. The 12 representing that which is the structure of the universe. The 12 representing that which is sacred all around you. The circle is sometimes thought of as an infinity loop. Very difficult to take a circle and decide where it begins and where it ends. And so all of these metaphors, they mean something else. And that is on purpose. And dear ones, that purpose is to introduce you to another kind of reality, a perception perhaps that you're just now getting used to. Earlier in this program, I gave you a channel, and we spoke of rewriting sacred truths. We started that particular channel with the word allowance, and we asked you, what do you allow? And that truly is the big question. For there are many who will hear these kinds of metaphysical messages, even listen to the channel, enjoy the energy, and yet there is a demarcation point of belief, a place that they will not go beyond. They will not then disembark from that place to a higher thinking perception or data or anything, because you've reached that point that is the limit. And that's what we're speaking of. The limit is often what you were told, what you were taught, that which you believe now to be correct and proper, appropriate. It's what your mom told you and your dad told you, and perhaps even those sacred teachers told you. And you will not go past that because it's comfortable to stay there. And dear ones, I'm going to tell you this, that no one has to go past that point. We are not here to push you past that point. We're here to show you that something exists past that point. That you would understand that what you were told is as good as it got at those times. That was the entire sacred truth at that time. That so many of you were given these things. But now it starts to move off that peg of absolute sacred truth and becomes bigger. What is your allowance factor? Will you allow something to break through a belief? I'm so aware who's here. Those who choose to listen right now is not the general public. It's those who have invested in their time to be here. Mostly those who are light workers or interested in the esoteric. Many beliefs are represented in the listenership right now. But it's not the beliefs and the doctrines that we speak of. It goes beyond that. It's something that is core to all that is. That every belief system in this monotheistic earth has in common. They all talk about the great love of God. They talk about a love of God first, and perhaps then down the line they'll speak of those other things that some of them will believe. But this is about the core, the love of God. So what we're asking you is this. Do you have an allowance within you that would be able to listen to and accept something that might be bigger than you were told? Now, you don't have to go there, believe it, act on it, but would you be willing to know there was more? Can you imagine a physicist, perhaps one who is in his 80s, who went through all that physics has gone through in the last 80 years, learned it probably when he or she was in their 20s, and they've come out with certain kinds of laws of physics that make sense. In fact, they make so much sense that everywhere they look, those laws work. Suddenly, in the last decade or more, something else has arisen called entanglement. It flies in the face, literally, of all of the laws of physics they learned. It is different. It is so different that it's even tough to describe. Imagine for a moment a discovery that would put you on another planet, talking with a piece of you still here, in real time, without distance. This is what they discovered when they broke apart a photon, and they saw that it kept transmitting to itself, even over thousands and thousands of miles, and then they realized it was transmitting signals, if you want to call it that, faster than the speed of light. It was entangled with itself. This goes against everything they learned. To this day, there are those in this protocol you call physics who will question it even to this day, say we must be seeing something else because it doesn't make sense with what I know and what I've learned and what I've seen and what my professors told me. This is what we're speaking of. We're speaking of something that is so entirely different from anything you were told that you have to gulp twice in order to get there, in order to even think, okay, I'll go with it. And what is it I speak of? The principle that you might be part of the Creator. The principle that you might be part of the Creator. We spoke of one of those things today in the channel that is rewriting sacred truth. And we told you that you can drop all of the ideas of protection that you learned from the past. It's not needed to be protected when you carry now your own bubble or shield of light. This is where it has gone to. That the individual is now carrying their own protective shield instead of having to then clear an area and walk through it and be safe. You are always safe. We talked about this yellow bubble. We make it yellow because that represents a kind of light you might turn on and see. It's a good visualization because almost all of you can draw a stick figure on a page and put a bubble around it and color it yellow. But did I tell you how big it was? It does have a definition of size. It starts operating at 8 meters. That's about 26 feet for some of you. Now that particular number generated years and years ago by those who could sense sacred things and said that is how big your personal Merkaba is. Now, if you haven't figured this out, one of the things it means is wherever you walk, you touch others' Merkabas. In other words, that bubble of yours, which you have filled with light, also touches those bubbles who may not have any light. And what do you think that interchange creates, where light is active and dark is passive? What do you think happens, dear ones? That is the lighthouse you are. Think about it. Think of the metaphor as you walk around this planet, touching so many other bubbles, and yours has light and kindness and benevolence and understanding. You are part of the Creator. I want you to come and experience something we haven't yet done. Not like this. We cross a bridge into that which we have told you is a soul energy, and it's yours. It's not odd or strange, except it may be to you because you've never been there, or because you don't believe it, or because you're linear and it is not. I want you to cross the bridge with me right now, and let's go there, and let's practice some things. So take my hand, let's go through the mist, cross this bridge into the unknown right now. Dear ones, you are not required to have any kind of elaborate visualization. You've got this yellow bubble. Perhaps it's even white now. Any way you can visualize it, wherever you walk, it's in front of you and pushes away anything inappropriate. But here in this place, you don't really need it, because every single thing you see in your soul has a bubble that is also white. But some are whiter than yours. And you'll say, why is that? And that is because you're meeting your own guides, your own angels. You're meeting the pieces and the parts of divinity that are you right now with those bubbles. We're going to go down into that amphitheater in a moment, a circle in the round. You'll go through a portal, a door, whatever you want to see. But you're still carrying your bubble today. I want you to go down those stairs into this circle in the round, in this amphitheater where you go down to get on stage and you get up again and there's the stage. But there's no chair. We told you there would be some times where there's no chair. It might be a giveaway to what's coming, but you'll see that instead of one set of stairs where you would then climb to the stage, that the entire stage has steps, no chairs. Instead of one set of stairs, there are stairs all around the stage. In other words, anyone could walk up those stairs. And they're going to in just a moment. Standing on that stage, dear ones, with your bubble of light, you're going to become aware in a moment that the ones in the audience who are now staring at you and are so happy that you're there are going to stand in a moment. And when they do, let's let it be now. Let's not in a moment, right now. They're all standing, and you're going to say, who is there? Who is there? Who is it today who's going to meet you in this place which is just yours, which is just your soul, period? It doesn't get any more personal than this safe circle of 12 place where the stage is you and your platform, which cannot be invaded by any negative thing, where you meet those who have come to you, to watch you, to help you. This is not an auditorium that you're not related to. This is you. It gets a little more elaborate, perhaps a little more intimate, a little more personal today. The audience, it's not massive, but it's large enough. Men and women. And you start to see them by who they are And you do not recognize their faces. You recognize their energy. You're in a soul place which is multidimensional, where everything you see has another energy, and you know what it is. Because you're in this multidimensional place where things are not linear, you're almost on the other side of the veil, dear ones, which is where your soul is partly living all the time. If you want to call it living, it resides on both sides. Your bubble is still active, it's still there. It's not a shield which is impenetrable. It's simply a shield that takes away dark things, pushes them away. But did we say what happens when you intercept another field, another globe, another balloon, a circle that is brighter than yours? Did we tell you that? What happens is that the enormity of wisdom and love and sacredness of a brighter circle intersecting yours starts to share itself with you. Just like when you walk on this planet with your light and you intersect those who have no light, it starts to share with them. The opposite is happening on this stage right now. For you are looking at some of the highest teachers and healers on the planet, living and past. They are in the audience, and they start to climb those stairs. They're all standing up, and they're all climbing those stairs, and they're going to stand next to you right now. They're going to stand next to you. Stretch out your arms. They're going to stand next to you. Each one of them has a bubble, and it's starting to show. And every single one of those bubbles is as bright as yours, and some are brighter. Some are so bright you cannot look at them. And you recognize the masters within the healers and the teachers, and here they come. And they're gathering around you, and suddenly you start to feel the chills because their bubbles intersecting with your bubbles, and pretty soon is one huge, enormous bubble of sacred energy. Rewrite, dear ones, your idea of where healing comes from, because they are now sharing everything that they know and you'll accept and allow with you right now. You're intermingling with them. Oh, can you feel it? And you stand there. There's so much light. There's so much light. There are tears. There's applause. There's laughter, because you can't control the light that is this bright. You're overjoyed, and your cells are dancing. They're dancing. They're dancing. Can you allow this? Will you allow this? Because if you do, I have just introduced you to what goes on in your soul. If you allow it, if you want it. It's always been a grander truth. It's not a doctrine. It's light. It's love. It's real. Stay. Stay. Just stay. And so it is.